Hi, I'm Rob Durham. In this episode, I'm going to tell you why I'm choosing to perform stand-up comedy during a pandemic, what the crowds are like, and whether you're a veteran or a beginner, what you need to do to prepare if you're just getting back out there.
He tours clubs and colleges all over. He's just published his third book. Give a nice big round of applause for Rob Durham.
Despite the risks, I'm still performing stand-up comedy, and it was a decision, I didn't take lightly. As a school teacher, I'm still working in a building with around 1,500 people per day in it. I wear a mask during that, so the venues I'm performing at, I go into and leave wearing a mask. I believe masks work, and unless you're talking face-to-face with someone or not washing your hands, there's a way to prevent from getting the virus as well. So I'm taking safety precautions as it is. The only time I remove my mask at a comedy venue is when I'm on stage. And so far, in all the shows I've done, I've been at least 10 feet away from people, so I know they're laughing towards the stage. But, from what I've learned, I've been safe so far. I've been fortunate enough to do 8 or 9 paid shows, too, so I'm kind of fortunate, again, to be making money at that. That's another thing, is the financial issue of it. I had to have a new roof put on my house in the last few months, and I have a new tooth, so I still have 2 more surgeries to pay for on that. So life is expensive. I need the extra income as a teacher, so those are my decisions. I don't want to argue about it. If you're against it, I don't know, stop watching the video. I don't care if you comment and troll me about it. That's just me reasoning. This next part has to do with the actual performing and who you're in front of. Crowds have been very grateful. However, I found them pretty rowdy. I don't know if a lot of people have forgotten how to act like adults in public anymore. I did have the roughest show, probably the worst set of my career. I wrote a blog about it on don'twearshortsonstage.com if you want to read that. But they've been grateful afterwards, but their behavior during the show is a little questionable at times. And what's happening too is at a comedy club, they're struggling. They're struggling for business. That's another reason I wanted to get back on stage and help out. They're not able to pay as much, but you still want to help support the club that got you to this point in your career. And if they've got large rowdy crowds, they're not in a position where they can kick them out as easily as they used to. They need that money from alcohol sales. So unfortunately, that's the reality of it, and you can't blame the club for anything like that. Another thing to think about is a lot of your audience is made of people who are kind of virus deniers or don't believe in masks in the first place. So if they have that mentality, then you know where you are politically with them. I don't do a lot of political jokes. If you do have one, you can't blame the right in front of a bunch of people that aren't wearing masks. They're going to hate you right away. So blame Congress. I think that's what I've been doing in the semi-political joke that I do. It's a safe bet rather than blaming a president or an individual. Just blame Congress. Everyone can agree with that. The one-nighter gigs that I've done have been more in rural areas, and I've walked in and it's like a time warp. None of them are wearing masks, and I'm the only one, me and the other comic are the only one wearing masks, and there's even been indoor smoking at some of the venues I performed at. So they're going to stare at you. It is a weird feeling when you're the only one doing this, but you need to be secure in that. And, I was down at a gig and this guy came up before the show and said, "Oh, are you going to rob the place?" I said, "No, I have a responsibility to stay healthy." And I had 2 or 3 other people after the show mention that I was still wearing a mask. And, I joked, "It's not about the virus. It's because you're smoking inside." But, they kept at me. They're like, "Well, we're not afraid of the virus." It's like, I'm not afraid I'm going to die either, but I may pass it on to someone if I'm not careful. So, that's kind of where I am on that. So you are going to deal with people that just have a different mentality about it. So, unfortunately, that's our audience right now. So comedy might be kind of new to them. I know some of the venues I've been at, they haven't done comedy in over a year, or it's the first time they're doing it at their place. So you're dealing with tougher audiences. So that means you need to adjust a few things. First thing you want to do when you get to a venue is hide. Get away from them, especially if you're the only one wearing a mask. Otherwise, they're going to hate you before you get on stage. And you don't want to alienate yourself like that. So, talk ahead of time with your contact. Is there a green room or some storage room they can put you ahead of time? Even in an Elks Lodge, they can keep you separate from your audience for most of the time. Another thing is you've got to have your set list memorized. This has been one of the hardest things I've had to adjust to. I'm fine on 25, 30, 35 minutes. When it gets to 45, you can't afford to forget some of your bits. And you never know with these crowds. They're, like I said, they're a lot rowdier. So at some point you need to just plow through sometimes. If you give them that gap while you're thinking of the next joke, they're going to, use that as an opportunity to heckle or get rowdy or just stop listening. Everything that could have gone wrong in my set a few Fridays ago did. So again, that's posted on don'twearshortsonstage.com. But have that set list memorized. Even with a good crowd, it's not like riding a bike where it all comes back to you right away. I've noticed that, even after 8 shows, I'm still forgetting little pieces in my set just because maybe the crowds aren't as full, so you don't have that full amount of time to think while they're laughing. Or like I said, if they're acting up, you've got to be right on it and not mess up your timing. As far as mentioning the virus, I really don't bring it up that often. I didn't write a lot of jokes about it. I know they have a shelf life, and I think people will be ready to move on in a year or so when this is all cleared up, or hopefully sooner. Just rehearse. Be ready for anything, because again, you're going to be rusty, and that's okay. I think club managers understand that, and hopefully audiences will as well. Start with your really strong stuff if you have to. Rearrange that set list somewhat to start a lot stronger, and I think you'll have a much stronger set, and they'll like you from the beginning. And often that's all it really takes, is those first few minutes for the crowd to love you, and then it's you have them eating out of the palm of your hand by then. If you are if you're new and just doing open mics, still start with your strongest stuff. It's always, even if you're repeating, I know we all want to put this new material out that we've been working on over the break, but it's best just to use your trusty things up front, and then you can experiment a little more. So again, the people out there are grateful that you're performing. Even this gig I had the other night, there were multiple tables talking during it. The crowd was into it, but I think they just weren't used to being an audience. So there was an obnoxious blonde in the front row. She was older. She had her kids with, her son was turning 21. But after the show, nobody bought any books, but they passed around a tip jar. This blonde lady that was so obnoxious during the show passed a tip jar around, and I made almost as much as I got paid for the gig. So I can't figure these people out. They mean well, even if they have different beliefs about the whole situation as you do. So good luck. For more tips on stand-up comedy and how to make money, check out my book, Don't Wear Shorts on Stage. It is available on Amazon. It's on Kindle or paperback format, and I've got some other books as well. You can find them on Amazon. Thanks for watching, and again, check out my blog, and don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next time.